In the Bible, we read about Jacob, and many of you know the story of Jacob when his brother Esau was on his way with 400 men, soldiers, and he crossed over the brook Jabbok, I believe it's called, and he spent the night wrestling with an angel in prayer. And basically, the angel, from what we understand, was actually the Lord himself, who allowed himself to be wrestled by Jacob to obtain something that he really needed. Now, as you know, Jacob was known as supplanter, that's what his name means, deceiver. And throughout his life, he had used plots and schemes to obtain what he needed and what he wanted, rather than actually really getting down and working hard for it himself. But at this time, Jacob manned up, as it were. He had no choice but to rely upon God, none of his resources of himself, Jacob himself, at all, to be trusted. And he crossed over the brook Jabbok, and he began to pray to the Lord. He was so longing and so desperate. I guess for him, he was so fearful that his brother Jacob would come and kill his two wives and their children that he loved so much. And so it was desperate prayer. It was a prayer that was full of passion, longing, and deep groanings of desire, crying out to God that the Lord would bless him, that the Lord would turn around his situation. And simple thoughts are here is, how desperate are you in prayer to obtain what you really long for? In other words, a spouse. How really desperate are you? Jacob was very desperate to have his prayer answered, to be blessed by the Lord. And to the point where he prayed in very much a painful situation. As the angel put his hip out of joint, it must have been excruciatingly painful. But he would not give up. He was so desperate to have that prayer answered, the physical pain. But he hung on to the angel to daybreak, until eventually the angel said, "Let me go." And he said, "I will not let you go until you bless me." Now, God wants to hear that from you as regards the need of a spouse, that you will not cease to prayer and to hold on to God, even though you're in pain. And your pain, I guess, it's not going to be physical. Your pain is going to be emotional. As a single person, you're going to be very hurt, in great pain at times, as you see other people being blessed who are much younger than you, and maybe much younger than you. As you see other people getting their needs met quickly, as you see other couples around happy and laughing together, and you're on your own, that should drive you to really cry out to the Lord in emotional pain. But the other thing is, are you prepared to suffer like Jacob did, at any cost? Suffer emotionally is, I guess, for us, emotionally, prepared to suffer emotionally to obtain that promise from the Lord, that the Lord will finally answer your prayer and grant you that spouse. Because it is very painful. And you might say to yourself, "No, I'm not prepared for that. I would just take anybody. Anybody that comes along who's half decent, I will accept." But God wants you to be one who wrestles in pain, accepts the pain that's to come, accepts the hardship of waiting days, months, weeks, or years, accepts from the Lord anything at any cost, that you may obtain what you strongly desire for, because of the great reward that there's going to be at the end of your waiting. For Jacob, he would not give in. He just clung on for life. He would not complain to God. He would not say, "God, you don't care." All he wanted to do was to keep asking God, pleading with him, even in his pain, until he finally received that promise that he so desired for. And as you know, the answer to that prayer that Jacob's, that the Lord blessed him according to his prayer. He prayed in pain, he prayed in agony, and obtained. And the next day, that all worked out okay with Jacob and Esau. The Lord heard and answered. The Lord wants to do that for you. He wants you to wrestle. He wants you to pray, if needs be, in pain, and be prepared. Be prepared to the point where you don't curse God, where you don't blame God, where you don't get angry with God or emotionally immature with God. But you act like a grown-up, mature Christian, submitting willingly to His will, in waiting, however many days, weeks, months, or even years. Until you, in your deep emotional pain sometimes, crying out to God in pain, refuse to give up, refuse to give up, refuse to give up, until the Lord finally answers that prayer for you. May the Lord give you the strength as He most graciously gave to me.